Dragon folk, I hope you're ready to roll some dice today. We are going to check out Kayo in Commoner. Welcome on in, Dragon folk. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I know I am. My name is Ashen Wings, and you are in the lair. Today we are talking about none other than the Commoner format once again. I know a lot of people enjoyed the original one that we did for Dromai, and I wanted to touch into a few more of the cool heroes that you can find in this young format, as well as some interesting ways to play the game. Now, KO here is a brute, much like Rhinar and Leviah. But KO is a little different. KO is only available as a young hero. He's mainly for fun, right? That's the concept, is that he's there for fun. So KO reads, whenever you play an attack action card with 6 or more base power, roll a 6-sided dice. On a 1 to 4, have the attack's base rounded down. And a 5 to a 6, you double the attack's base power. So that is a huge gamble. I'm talking a bigger gamble than scab skin leathers. Like, this is a big gamble as far as this hero goes. I'm going to be entirely honest. This is a fun meme kind of deck that you run into an opponent. But this is by no means a deck that is going to win you any kind of commoner event, unless, of course, your rolls are just superb. And obviously, that is because with a 5 or a 6, you get to double your attacks, which is pretty huge. Now, of course, getting your attacks decreased does also suck. But luckily, we do run a lot of things in here that do buff our attacks, and that allows us to kind of shift it to where it's at least semi-valuable of an attack, as opposed to otherwise where it would be like a 3 or like a 4-powered attack, you know? So let's go ahead and start with the equipment, right? Equipment's pretty straightforward and simple. We've got a barkbone strapping. This allows us to get some additional some resources for pretty much free if we roll good. Obviously, it's roll a 6-sided die, gain resources equal to half the number rolled down or rounded down. So a 6 will get you 3 resources. A 5 will get you 2 resources. It's essentially scabskin leathers, but instead of action points, it is resources. So that helps out a lot when getting those big attacks out. Beaten Trackers allows us to do something again on our turn. If we do end up discarding a 6 or more, we can destroy this to get another action point. So that is pretty good. It allows us to kind of get those additional attacks out during a turn. And then we also have Bone Vizier. You can, when it's destroyed, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it has 6 or more power, put it on the top of your deck. Otherwise, put it on the bottom. So that helps filter out whether or not you're going to get a attack or you're going to get a buff. And then you have the Goliath Gauntlet, which, of course, you can buff the next attack. Usually, you want to try this if you're going to go in for a strong attack. And let's say you're once again hoping that you get a 5 or a 6 when you attack with anything in this deck. So adding that +2 onto that and then doubling it is a lot of damage. And then for weapons, we have Romping Club. It's pretty much just a great, straightforward weapon. I thought about running Meat Axe for this, but sometimes we just don't. I think Meat Axe comes in for 3 and then gets 5 if we discarded a 6 or more. This comes in for 4 naturally, and then if we discard a 6 or more, it gets +1. So they both try to go in for the same rate, except this one has a base rate. So if we whiff, we still get a good amount of damage out of it. So now we look in the deck, right? We've got a Rainbow of Awakening Bellow. Awakening Bellow is essentially a buff that we can use. It buffs the next brute attack action card you play this turn. And it has Intimidate also. So Intimidate, you just get to intimidate a card out of their hand. We have it in all 3 colors. So, +3, +2, +1. Bad Beats is another buff that we have in here. Roll a 6-sided die. If the number rolled is a 4, 5, or 6, it gets +5 until the end of the turn. and then go again. So it stays the same way all throughout. I'm not sure what the not sure what the bad thing is here. I think essentially, yeah, you in order to do this, the reds are a 4, 5, or a 6. The yellows are a 5 or a 6, and this is a 6. So essentially, the blues are always used to more so pitch, but the yellows and the reds can be used as buffs because you have a better chance, theoretically, of getting that buff to the attack. Bare Fangs, it's pretty cool. You don't have to discard a card from hand. You essentially draw a card and then discard. So you have a better chance. If it was 6 or more, it gets +2. So if it is 6 or more, which if it happens to be the case, and you don't have anything but 6s in your hand, this will come in for 8. And then with Kayo's ability, we are hoping it comes in for 16. Madcap Muscle, again, another one where you have to discard a random card. If it happens to be 6 or more power, this will get +3. This will then come in for 9, and then doubled will be 18. You got to remember, we are playing in a 20 health format. So 18 damage on one hit is a lot and very scary, although still blockable, but definitely not something that you should be, just letting hit. Intimidate on Pack Hunt is pretty good there too. Again, another 6 attack. Predatory Assault, red. If you've discarded a card with 6 or more this turn, it gains Dominate. So sometimes you're going to want to do one of these up here, these Bare Fangs or the Madcap Muscles, and then come in with a Predatory Assault if you have the resources. Primeval Bellow, again, is another buff there. It gives your next Brute attack this turn +5. This is the only one that works with the weapon. This and Pummel are the only 2 buffs in here. This one being an actual like attack in action, and this one being an attack reaction of Pummel. These are the only 2 that work with Romping Club. So if you happen to have a Primeval Bellow in hand, you'll have to discard a card, but it will allow your Romping Club to possibly come in for 10, which is pretty good for 2 mana essentially and a discarded card. And then, of course, Pummel needs no real explanation. You use this as a attack reaction to have your opponent, they declare their blocks, and then you go ahead and pummel them. Then it gets the card +4 or +2 if it's a blue, and then if it hits, they discard a card. Savage Swing is a pretty cheap attack, right? You pay 1, and then you also have to discard a random card. So not too bad. Wild Ride is our card that gives us Go Again. Of course, we want everything to have 6 or more in here, so we have a chance to double it. So this very well could come in for 12 and Go Again, so that's not too bad. Then our Wrecker Romps, this is a pretty straightforward basic one. It costs 2 to play, and then you have to discard a random card in order to play it. It doesn't need to be a 6 to get any buff or anything, so this is just mainly a card to play if you have, let's say, like 2 buffs in your hands, but you can't buff this. You just keep it there. And then we have a Smash Instinct in yellow. It is the only reason we're running the yellow one is because theoretically we could run the red, but we want more resources. These 2 cost resources here are going to be a little bit better for things like Bare Fangs and Wrecker Romp and Wild Ride, and even something as easy as a Pummel. Those are very important, so keep those in mind. But that's pretty much the deck. I'm going to go ahead and swing on over to Talishar, and we're going to play around with Kayo, and we'll see what he plays like. So you'll notice here that obviously I do not have any additional armor in Kayo. That is because for the most part, you are racing. This is not a deck with much strategy based behind it. Your whole goal is to roll dice and hope you roll really well. When you roll a 5 or a 6, the deck does amazing. When you roll a 1 through a 4, not too great. So the whole point is to essentially use your hand for 1 attack, hope it doubles, and then your opponent will just have to block with like everything. Otherwise, they're going to take anywhere between 12 and like 18 damage. So definitely a lot. And then, of course, right, the Romping Club being able to come in for 10 is pretty huge. So definitely something to look into. But we're going to go ahead and wait to see who we get as our opponent. All right, it looks like we have a Rhinar up to bat. So this is going to be a very interesting match. I am curious to see how this goes. It is essentially brute versus brute. Um, and we're going to see what happens here. I think most of what we do here is just not block. In this first turn, we can block. We have no problem blocking here, simply because, well, that's what we want. We kept those Wrecker Romps in hand. I may even just Madcap here. I could eat. What I can do here is I can bad beats. Hope I get a really good roll there, and then I could Madcap pitching Wrecker Romp, which will pitch this the 7 attack card, and it will go ahead and get this an additional buff. So we're gonna go ahead and try for that. We're gonna hit bad beats. Are we gonna get it? Bad beats did hit. So let's see whether or not we can get Madcap to hit. We got to roll a 5 or a 6. We're going to see what happens here. We did not, it looks like. We rolled a 1, but it still came in for 11. So very powerful still, even on its own. That was a very, very good turn for us. Coming in for 11 is huge, right, comparatively. We played that hand real well. They're going to have to block with a decent amount of stuff because taking 11 is a lot. But understandably, they're also probably trying to come in with some kind of other attack. I know I don't have to fear Alpha Rampage in this meta, or this format, I should say. So it's a little bit easier on my mind. The other downside with Kayo as opposed to Rhinar is that Kayo only comes in with 19 health. So 1 less health. I thought about playing things like Wounded Bull and things like that into him, because that does kind of give us a little bit of an edge and we don't have to discard anything. But sometimes we got to do what we got to do. Did he discard a 6? Of course he did. That's what Rhinar does. We're going to get intimidated here. And then we come in for 6. Now, the real question is do we just block? We have some battle-worn stuff here. We can block a little bit of it. It depends on what we're going to do on our next turn. We do have Wrecker Romp, Pack Hunt, Smash Instinct. We could always come in with either of these, probably more specifically Pack Hunt. And then, or we could come in with Wrecker Romp, hope discard a 6. So we can play Wrecker Romp, pitch this, discard a 6, and then even use Beaten Trackers to come in with a club next. So I think we're just not going to take it. They're going to come in with some club, probably, I would imagine. Because that's just it. Yeah, that just makes sense. So 11 damage to us. Okay, but we're going to be okay. Because again, right, the purpose is to do exactly this. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to Wrecker Romp. I think this is the move. Let me just make sure, because we want to make sure we do this right. We are going to Goliath Gauntlet, because this very well could be enough to do a ton of damage here. We are then going to play Wrecker Romp, pitching this Pummel. And that is going to discard a 6. We can destroy it to gain an action point. The answer is going to be yes, because we're going to come in with Club. Although we don't know what it rolled yet, do we? We don't know what it rolled yet, which is like the unfortunate part, right? Because we could break it now and hope we got it. I think we just have to, right? We have to break it. Okay, it did not roll well. Got a 2. Rolled a 2. Unfortunate for us. But that is the case, right? You got to remember, KO is not a very methodical deck in that way. We could even Pack Hunt here, actually. Maybe we do that. What do you think? Pack Hunt here? I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. Nope. Not great. Not great. That's okay, though. We're at 8. They're at 6. It's, again, they can do 8 damage to us probably pretty easily. But again, we just got to get one big hit off, and they're going to have to hit us with their entire hand. So this Madcap's coming in for 3. Do I even bother blocking? I don't even know. I guess theoretically I could just do this. We also have nothing but buffs and a wild ride in our hand, which does make this a little awkward. Because we could technically buff. We could technically... Yeah, we could buff wild ride and see where that takes us. But we're definitely going to have to block some stuff here, right? Like, there's just no shot. I don't see a world in which this makes sense. They're going to come in with club. That makes sense. We'll block one there. Pummel? Nope, no pummel. All right, here it is. This is the game. We're going to see what happens here. I have to discard a random card. I completely forgot about that. Well, that's unfortunate because we really, really, really want to make sure that this happens. So if I end up discarding the wild ride, we lose. But we could also just do Romping Club for 10. Okay, we ended up getting the +1. So now we can go ahead and come in with Wild Ride. This will be coming in for 11, hopefully doubled. If it's not doubled, yeah, here it is. Okay, 11. So it was a little bit more than that. It was 6. It was 6 doubled to 12 +5 from this. So 17 damage coming in. They can only block 12 of that, right? So they're going to take that. And then it's my turn again. Beautiful. We love to see that. That is so good. Maybe we will go ahead and... I think the point is to Wreck-A-Romp here because we could just threaten for more. But we also don't have any resources. It's not a very good place for us. We could Bare Fangs to come in for 8. I think we may just have to Wreck-A-Romp here. I think we just got to run it. Comes in for 4. So, unfortunate. We are going to have to probably spend our next turn blocking. Which is fine. Because if we block, we block, right? It's not the end of the world. Okay. 6 was put down. You got the bad beats in there too. They've got 2 floating, which means they still have enough for this, which means they win. That's unfortunate for us. Yeah. Yep, there's that. So, good stuff. Again, that so you get them and you get them, but then sometimes you just don't, and that's the thing. Kayo is by no means an amazing hero on his own. It's only good dice rolls is what does it for you. So we'll get into another one and see whether or not we can get more lucky. All right, it looks like we have Icelander as our first little pick here. So we are going to go ahead and go first in this scenario. Again, we are racing. We are trying to essentially beat out this Icelander before they can beat us. We very well could just start coming in with club, but I don't like that idea. I like very much so coming in with this instead. So I think I'm going to play... I think I'm just going to play the Pack Hunt and then possibly pummel. Although they could just block the whole thing out, right? What if we... No, we should give it +1 and Intimidate. And then just Arsenal the pummel. Yeah. Then we'll go ahead and come in Pack Hunt. Intimidating a card. Coming in for 13. That's what we like to see right there. Them good stuffs. I could pummel, but they don't have anything left in hand, so I'm not going to worry about that. So that hit for 7 damage, turn 1. And now we have a pummel in Arsenal. So this is what we want. I think in this situation, we kind of just take... We're going to get the blocking power out of these things first. And then we're going to see. We do have a wild ride. we very well could just block 3 here, see what's on top. Bone Vizier. Card was put on the bottom of your deck, so that's pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and see. We don't have a lot in resources here, which is very unfortunate. So we're probably going to have to just not buff, but we could. We could bad beats into Wild Ride into a possible Bear Fangs. So let's, although we do have ice to worry about, which is kind of unfortunate. But let's play, let's just run it, right? What's the worst that happens, right? We whiff. That's the whole point of the deck. Well, the whole point of the deck is not to whiff, but it is understandable if we do whiff. Yep. So that's fine. Okay. What does this one do again? This is Azure card would cost 0 from their hand on top of their deck. We don't have any of those. So okay. It does get +1. Now that's weird. Is Brain Freeze is not an ice card. That is a good note. All right, we're gonna play Wild Ride, pitch this. We're gonna see what it comes in for. Is it gonna be hot? Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Let's go. Let's go. 17. I think I may even just I think we just have to, right? We have to attempt to possibly Bear Fangs again. So we're gonna probably break Barkbone, hope that we get 2 resources. And then, because what? The odds of us getting 2 resources are 50-50, right? Because if we get a 2, we get 1 resource. If we get a 1, we get 0 resources. And if we get 3, we get 2. Oh. They quit? Okay. Interesting. Well, I didn't expect them to quit, but I guess when you're faced with a 17 power attack, it do be like that sometimes. Let's move on to the next one. All right, we have the next contestant in the arena. We're going against Chain. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't know too much about how Chain works. That is for a new video. We are going to spend this time learning about all these different heroes. So, we're going to start off by doing exactly what we did with everybody else, which is hit him in the face. That's pretty much the only thing we do. Oh, they have a pretty cool little thing, the Metrics metagame. What an interesting little thing. I wonder if they're patrons of the thing. That's what we got to do. We got to get ourselves some cool sleeves to put onto Talishar for you guys who are playing Talishar. All right, first hand's going to be blocking because that's just what we do. Chain comes in, create a Soul Shackle. Next Rune Blade or Shadow action gets go again. Any of your action phase, banish the top card of your deck. Got it. Okay. So what's our hand look like, right? We've got a Wrecker Romp, a Wild Ride, an Awakening Bellow, and a Bad Beats. So that's very interesting. We like the Wild Ride. We also like the Bad Beats. We very well could just Bad Beats into Wrecker Romp, pitching Awakening Bellow, possibly getting a huge bonus to damage there, and foregoing the Wild Ride. Considering they didn't do anything on this turn, besides accrue themselves a blood debt, which they then had to take, I'm curious as to what the purpose of this deck is. But I think we're going to go with exactly with that strategy, because we could Wild Ride, we could Bad Beats, Wild Ride, and then Romping Club, in the hopes that that just ends everything, right? But is that what we want to do? Theoretically, that could at least mean that we get 5. It also is only going to get go again if we discard a 6. So we may just want to come in with damage and be like insane about it. Maybe even, uh, you know what? We're going to see what happens when we hit bad beats. We're going to hit bad beats. We'll see what we get. What does the thing say? We do have +5. We got a 6. We rolled a 6. So our next brute attack action is +5. I like coming in with the wild ride then, but I also think that playing the Wrecker Romp could be good here. Because if this gets brought down to 4, it's 4 plus 5. So 9. If this comes down, it comes down to 3 plus 5, which is 8. In a possible go again. I kind of want to just get as much damage as possible, so I am going to just do that. We're going to see what we get. We double it. I'm not going to destroy beaten trackers. All right, here we go. We did not. It comes in for 9, though. So 9's a decent amount of damage. You know, they're going to definitely want to block out a good portion of that. Now, granted, I'm not sure. Luckily, we're dealing with a hero that has blood debt. So, and it also doesn't seem like there's a way for them to get rid of things with blood debt. How does this work out? Beginning of your end phase of bounding. Okay, so there's nothing to turn off blood debt. Huh. I don't know. I'm curious how chain works. I think it'd be a very interesting thing. But we're going to see what's going to happen here. Blood Tribute. Opt 3, then banish the top card of your deck. Okay, so they're going to rack up that blood debt, but I'm not sure how they're going to get around that blood debt. This very well could be an interesting chain pummel kind of situation. That's a lot of cards. Oh, you can play these things from your banish zone. That's what happens. They go into your banish zone and then you play them and they go into your graveyard. I see what's happening. Okay, so they took a little bit there. We could, in theory, well, we have no AP, so I don't know why I'm talking. We are done. All right. So they've got stuff in their banish zone. Piercing Shadow Vise. You've dealt arcane damage to an opposing hero this turn. Piercing Shadow Vise gets +2. Rip through reality. You can play through your banish zone. So the goal is to banish things into your banish zone and then play them to get them into your grave. We are also looking at a Seeds of Agony here. Next attack action card with 2 or less you play this turn deals 1 arcane damage to target hero and then go again. So that's an awful lot of stuff that they're allowed to just like do, considering. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay, so Bounding is going to come in, do damage. We don't care. We're going to take that damage. All day, every day, 7 days a week. We're taking that. Okay. Then an Aether Iron Weave to then Goliath Gauntlet into what I'm assuming to be Piercing Shadow Vise. Oh, no, this. For 6. I think we're probably just going to block a little bit here. We can always go ahead and come in with the Wrecker Romp regardless, pitching the Smash Instinct. Or we could play Smash Instinct. You probably might just play this instead, pitching the Wrecker Romp. Which means that we should probably just keep I think we're going to go ahead and just put that on there. We'll block a little bit. Of course, once again, there's the pummel. Got it. So that's what we were kind of expecting out of this, I guess. So now we're just going to go ahead and discard this. Okay, that's going to come in for 2. Very strong deck. I mean, hey, Rosetta Thorn and Rune Blades. You can't really mess up that. All right, we're going to smash. We're going to hope this comes in for 12. It did not, unfortunately. Did not, unfortunately, come in for 12. That is unfortunate for us. But we're going to see what happens then at that point. Blood Tribute's going to come in. They're going to banish. I don't know exactly what they're looking for, but they're looking for something. They can play Shadow Vise. We've got another Seeds that they've just put into their banish zone. That's a lot of cards they can play from Banish. What an interesting combination. The double Seeds of Agony. Got it. Zero and cost 1. So Chain's going to come in, do another Soul Shackle. Bounding Demagon's going to do 2 Arcane. And then I'm going to block 3. How do we want to do this hand? This hand kind of sucks, aside from the Wrecker Romp. So maybe we'll just block with the red first. See what happens. If they've got another pummel, we lose. But who knows, right? Again, not too much thought going into this. We just kind of want to punch, right? We want to hit things. That is the concept of what we do here. So, but I believe the arcane damage is in fact going to be our downfall. So this very well might be something that you may want to run arcane into if you're trying to last a little bit longer. I'm not exactly saying that this is the best way to do this, but it is a thing. Unfortunately for us, well, I guess we can just block with this then. All right, we got one last hurrah here. We are going to play Bad Beats, hoping it's a 6. Well, no, we're going to Goliath Gauntlet. And then we'll probably just do this instead, actually. 2. Okay, cool. So it worked out. So we're going to play this. We're going to see if we rolled a 6. We did not roll a 6. This Wild Ride's then going to come in for 5. An unfortunate thing for us. They are going to be able to get on over that with their Arcane, which means that we unfortunately lose this game. But hey, you know what? We're playing Kayo. It doesn't matter. There's not a strategy. Obviously, Chain is very big into this, so it is an interesting time. It was my first time seeing Chain. We'll have to do a video on him next to see what's going on with that. And with that, we have Kayo. So that was a small little run through of how Kayo is played. I'm pretty sure I played him way more aggressively than anybody should. Again, something I may change. And obviously, let me know in the comments if any of you guys have any suggestions for things that this deck could have. But I would like to see maybe some Wounded Bulls, some Findall's Fighting Spirits, maybe. Simply because with Findall's, I get, additional health. And with Wounded Bulls, I get the additional damage, simply because I will be at 1 life less. Those cards also do not allow me to, have to discard any card. So any of those coming in and being doubled is still super great. The only issue is they cost 3, but that's not a problem. We run a decent amount of blues and yellows to cover that 3 cost and still have something in arsenal for the next turn. So let me know if that works out for any of you, if you guys have played Kayo in Commoner, and whether or not you like any of those things. But of course, as always, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about Kayo. He's a very interesting hero. I'm curious how many people play him in Blitz, but it'd be very interesting to see how he evolves as he gets more cards added to his card pool in other formats. So thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I plan to do a whole bunch of commoner videos here, so hopefully you guys all enjoy getting into a budget-friendly format for Flesh and Blood, and I will continue to make these videos for you because I really like the format also. So thanks again. Make sure to check the description for our Patreon, or even there should be a button down here, I want to say, that should say join. That is for the channel membership for our channel here on YouTube. If you don't like using Patreon, that is a great way to support the channel as well. But of course, you just being here means a lot to me. So thank you. And I will see you all very soon. Nerd out.